You carry enormous dreams inside your head. You can already picture yourself winning. You know what success would look like for you, clearly, vividly. You watch other people achieve what you want, and deep down you think, I could do that. Honestly, I might even do it better. Yet when the moment arrives to actually take the first step, you hesitate. You tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. You grab your phone, you scroll endlessly, you watch just one more video, you tweak your plan again, you wait for the perfect time that never seems to come. If that sounds familiar, if you're someone full of ambition but slow to act, rich in ideas but poor in execution, then this story might be exactly what you need. Because one simple encounter once shattered a comfortable illusion for someone just like you, and that painful truth became the very thing that set him free. So stay with me. In the heart of a crowded city, inside a modest fifth floor apartment, lived a 27-year-old man named Daniel. Daniel didn't think like most people around him. While his friends clocked in and out of ordinary jobs, accepting routine without resistance, Daniel dreamed bigger, much bigger. He wanted to start a company. He wanted to write a meaningful book. He wanted a strong, healthy body. He wanted new skills, a different life, a legacy that mattered. His apartment reflected his mindset. The walls were layered with sticky notes, goals, reminders, timelines, affirmations. His desk was cluttered with notebooks full of plans. His bookshelf was packed with titles about success, habits, discipline, and personal growth. Every book promised change. Every chapter filled him with motivation and hope. But there was one undeniable issue. Daniel never followed through. Each morning, he woke up energized, convincing himself, today is the day. This is when everything begins. But by midday, that excitement started fading. By evening, it was completely gone. He told himself the business would start next month, once he saved more money. The book would come next year when life felt less busy. The gym membership would begin on Monday, right after finishing one last season of his favorite show. Day after day, his dreams stayed perfectly alive, while his actions remained non-existent. Over time, people quietly stopped asking Daniel about his plans. His friends no longer checked in. His family stopped trusting his words. And deep down, Daniel himself knew the reality, even if he never dared to say it out loud. He wasn't a builder. He was a dreamer who never moved. When his mother came to visit, she noticed immediately. The apartment looked exactly the same desk, the same books, the same sticky notes clinging to the walls, unchanged for 6 months. She would smile softly and say, Son, a dream without action is just a fantasy. Daniel would nod, feel a sharp sting of embarrassment, and change the subject. Later that night, he'd open his laptop and binge videos of successful people, because watching others win felt safer than risking failure himself. Every night, lying awake in the dark, the same question tortured him. What's wrong with me? I'm not dumb. I'm not lazy by nature. I'm capable. I'm ambitious. So why can't I take the first step? He felt like a high-performance car locked inside a garage, a powerful engine, unlimited potential, but the key was never turned. Then one Saturday afternoon, everything shifted. Daniel ran into Alex, his former college roommate, at a small coffee shop downtown. They hadn't spoken in nearly 2 years. Alex looked different, more grounded, more confident. There was an energy about him that Daniel couldn't ignore. After a few minutes of casual conversation, Daniel asked, So, what have you been up to lately? Alex smiled. Remember that app idea I talked about back in college? The one everyone laughed at and said would never work? Daniel nodded slowly. He remembered it well because he'd had a similar idea himself, an idea he never acted on. I built it, Alex said calmly. We launched 6 months ago, just crossed 50,000 users last week. I quit my job last month to focus on it full time. Daniel felt his chest tighten. The coffee in his hand suddenly tasted bitter. He congratulated Alex. He forced a smile. He asked all the right questions. But inside, something was breaking. Something inside Daniel cracked open. Because in that moment, he remembered the truth he had been trying to forget. 2 years earlier, he and Alex had stood in the exact same place. Same age, same hunger, same ideas scribbled in notebooks, same belief that they were meant for more. The difference wasn't talent, it wasn't intelligence, it wasn't luck. Alex had taken action, Daniel hadn't. That night, sleep never came. Daniel sat alone at his desk, staring at his vision board. The same goals stared back at him, unchanged after 2 long years. still dreams, still promises, still unfinished. He opened his journal and finally wrote the sentence he had been running from. I'm not unlucky. I'm not waiting for the perfect moment. I'm not being careful or strategic. I'm afraid. And I've been hiding behind planning so I don't have to start. His hand trembled as more words spilled onto the page. I'm 27 years old. How many more years will I waste being ambitious but inactive? How many more Alexas will I watch move forward while I stay frozen? He dropped the pen, buried his face in his hands, and whispered the question that cut deeper than any other. What am I actually scared of? The next morning, restless and unable to breathe inside his own thoughts, Daniel got into his car and drove toward the mountains outside the city. He needed silence, distance, perspective. He began walking along a narrow trail without any real destination, lost in his mind, when he noticed an elderly man sitting on a rock nearby, tightening the straps on his hiking boots. The man looked to be in his 70s, yet there was clarity in his eyes, steady, alert, alive. Starting a bit unprepared, aren't you? The man said, nodding toward Daniel's sneakers and empty hands. Daniel gave a small, embarrassed smile. I'm not really hiking, he said. Just walking, thinking. The old man chuckled. The best journeys usually start that way. I'm Robert, he added. I've been climbing these mountains for over 40 years. They walked together for a while, or rather, Robert asked questions, and for reasons Daniel couldn't explain, he answered honestly about his goals, about never beginning, about feeling trapped inside his own potential. Robert listened quietly, without interrupting, without judgment. Then he stopped, pointed toward a distant peak glowing under the morning sun. Do you see that summit? He asked. Beautiful, isn't it? From down here, it looks completely unreachable. Daniel nodded. You know what most people do? Robert said. Daniel shook his head. They stand right here, Robert continued, staring at the summit. They talk about how incredible it would feel to reach the top. They buy top-of-the-line boots. They watch hours of other people climbing. They debate which path is the best. He paused. But they never take a single step onto the trail. Robert lifted his backpack, scratched, heavy, clearly used for years. Here's what most people don't realize, he said. This thing is heavy. The first mile hurts. You sweat. Your legs burn. Doubt creeps in, and every part of you wants to turn around and head back to the car. He looked at Daniel. But once you take that first painful step, then another, and then another. Robert gestured toward the mountain again. The peak doesn't magically move closer. You do. Then he spoke words that landed like a punch. You're not lazy. He shook his head. Lazy people don't dream this big. You're afraid. Afraid that once you start, you might fail. Afraid that action could expose your limits. Afraid that you won't be as exceptional as you've always imagined. So you hide in planning, Robert said calmly, because in your head, everything is still perfect. Daniel felt like someone had peeled him open. So how do I stop being afraid? He asked quietly. Robert laughed. You don't, he said. The fear never disappears. You just move forward with it. He tightened the straps on his pack. In 40 years of climbing, I've learned one thing. He stood up. The only real difference between people who dream and people who do is that doers accept being terrible at the start. They're willing to be slow, willing to look foolish, willing to struggle, because they understand something most never will. Starting badly beats never starting at all. Robert turned and began walking up the trail, then glanced back over his shoulder. I'm heading to the waterfall today, about 2 miles up. You're welcome to come. Then he smiled. But there's one rule. No talking about whether you're ready. No excuses about gear or timing. You either start walking right now, or you go back to your car and keep dreaming. Daniel stared at the trail in front of him. It climbed sharply upward. He wasn't equipped. No boots, no backpack, no plan. Excuses rushed in instantly. I'm not ready. I don't belong here. I'll start when I prepare properly. Then another image cut through the noise. Alex's smile, the untouched vision board. 2 full years that had disappeared without progress. Daniel stepped onto the trail. Then he took another step. All right, he said under his breath. Let's do this. Robert smiled. Good, he said. Now you're actually climbing. The first 10 minutes were brutal. Daniel's legs burned, his chest tightened. Every breath felt like a battle. This is stupid, his mind shouted. Turn back. You're not built for this. But Robert kept moving, slow, steady, unbothered, and somehow Daniel kept following. After about half an hour, something changed. His breathing settled into a rhythm. His steps stopped feeling forced. He wasn't thinking about the summit anymore. He was just walking. "You've entered the first mile rule," Robert called back. "What's that?" Daniel asked, still gasping. "Most people quit in the first mile," Robert replied. "That's when it hurts the most. Your body fights you, your mind panics, it invents excuses." He paused. "But if you push through that first stretch, momentum kicks in, and momentum makes everything else lighter." 2 hours later, they reached the waterfall. Daniel stood there soaked in sweat, exhausted, yet strangely alive. For the first time in years, he felt real pride. Not pride from planning, not pride from imagining, pride from doing. That evening, Daniel sat at his desk again. His muscles ached from the hike, but his thoughts were calm. He opened his laptop, not to scroll, not to research, not to prepare. He opened a blank document. He titled it, "My Book, First Draft." The words weren't elegant, they weren't impressive, but they were real. 200 words. That was it. The next day, he wrote 200 more. His inner voice screamed, "This is awful. You're not ready. Learn more first." But Robert's voice cut through the noise. Doers are willing to be terrible at the start, so Daniel kept going, slowly, clumsily, imperfectly. Day 3, another 200 words. Day 7, 300. Day 14, his first chapter finished. Rough, messy, unfinished, but complete. And something unexpected happened. Once he started one thing, starting everything else became easier. Daniel signed up for the gym, not next month, not when life slows down, that very day. His first workout was humbling. He struggled with weights others lifted easily. He felt awkward, weak, out of place, but he showed up again the next morning. He began sketching out his business idea, not cleanly, not perfectly, just rough notes, half-formed thoughts. But this time, instead of waiting, he started researching, making calls, taking small, uncomfortable steps forward. 3 months later, Daniel met Alex again. This time, the conversation felt different. "I started my book," Daniel said. "It's not finished, but I've written over 15,000 words. I go to the gym every morning now, and I'm actually building that business idea we used to talk about. I'm working on the first prototype." Alex's face lit up. "Daniel, that's incredible," he said. "What changed?" Daniel smiled. "I stopped planning to begin," he replied. "I just began, badly. But I began." My friend, Daniel's story isn't unique. It's your story. It's my story. It's the story of anyone who has ever felt that painful distance between what they want and what they do. And here's the truth most people avoid. Your dreams don't care about your intentions. Your goals don't care about your vision boards. Life doesn't reward ideas. It rewards movement. So remember these 3 things. First, you don't need to feel ready. You need to start. Ready is a myth, a comfortable lie that keeps you safe and stuck. Every successful person you admire began before they felt prepared. They started uncertain, they started scared, they started anyway. Second, the first mile is always the hardest. Your mind will fight you. Your body will resist. That voice telling you to quit will be loud. That's not a warning sign. That's proof you're exactly where growth begins. Push through the first mile, and momentum will help carry you forward. Third, being bad at the beginning is not failure. It's the entry fee. You're not meant to be great on day one. Perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. Messy action will always defeat flawless hesitation. So here's what I want you to do. Stop watching this video and take one step toward your biggest dream right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel confident. Open the document, send the email, make the call, do one push-up, write one sentence, take one imperfect step. Small is fine, awkward is fine, imperfect is fine. What matters is that you move from imagining to doing. Because here's the real secret. You're not ambitious, but lazy. You're ambitious and afraid. And the only way fear loses its power is when you walk forward anyway, but afraid. And fear has only one real antidote: movement. The instant you take that first step, no matter how small, no matter how imperfect, you shift something inside yourself. You stop being the person who plans. You become the person who acts. And once you become someone who acts, everything starts to change. If this story pushed you even slightly forward, hit the like button and share it with someone who's been stuck overthinking for too long. Now I want you to do something before you leave. Drop a comment and tell me this. What is one action you are taking today? Not tomorrow. Not soon. Today. I read and respond to as many comments as I can. And if you want more stories that challenge you to move instead of wait, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll see you again with another story soon. Until then, remember what Robert taught us. The gap between dreamers and doers isn't talent, luck, or intelligence. It's one step. Take it right now.